It's a very important thing, because it occurs to me we haven't got to this point of the conversation. What do you think of it, Mark?
Well, it's very interesting, and it's always very difficult reviewing films when people are in the studio.
Would you like them to leave?
No,
we love your work, Mark.
No. So here's the thing, I have the...
Simon is leaning forward and trying to catch Mark's eye.
I have the 5 laugh rule, and the rule is if you get past 5 laughs, it's okay, it's a proper comedy. I have to say, I got past 5 laughs in about 10 minutes. I really did laugh a lot. I really like the relationship between Simon's character and Nick's character, which I think all that underplayed comedy is something which, is very, very hard to do and does work very well. Admittedly, I saw it with an audience who were clearly ready to like it because there's so much goodwill as a result of Shaun of the Dead, and rightly so. Shaun of the Dead was an exceptional piece of work, and I think that the real triumph of Shaun of the Dead is it did manage to do humour and horror together. Very difficult. The Evil Dead is one of the few movies that's got that right. Before the moment when he says, I don't know if I can kill my mother and my best friend in the same day, is genuinely quite moving. Now, in the interest of being completely fair, I should say that I think that thing about an episode of Midsummer Murders, as directed by Tony Scott, if there's a flaw in the film, it's that in the end, when we get into the action sequence, I lose interest. And I think partly what happens there is that takes over, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, I would have brought that back, but I'm not a filmmaker, so I think the end of it kind of overplays itself. However, that said, I think there is enough that is really funny and really witty and really genuinely, laugh out loud. Gosh, isn't it good that we can make movies that are this entertaining? To kind of forgive it its problem. And I remember there's a famous maxim. Roger Corman once said there are very few movies that wouldn't benefit from losing 20 minutes in the inclusion of an exploding helicopter shot. And it is absolutely true that it's almost impossible to tell anybody what it's like. You and me in the James Bond film.
I don't think Driving Miss Daisy would have been improved with that, though.
I think Driving Miss Daisy would have been enormously improved by an exploding helicopter shot. It's almost impossible to tell anybody what to lose. I mean, actually, in the case of this, I think exactly I know what it is that bags down for me at the end, and I'm sure that when you get things into the editing room and you're having so much fun and you are kind of turning into Tony Scott, it's absolutely fine. That's my criticism of it. But I think the character, I'm getting a voice in my head. I think the character stuff is really great. I think that the jokes about the Wicker Man and Straw Dogs, with the man trap and all that kind of stuff. The problem with that stuff is it can fall into simply checking stuff off, and I don't think this ever does, because I think the difference between actually loving movies and enjoying them. I mean, being somebody who likes Point Break, I like Point Break a lot. Actually, the first time I ever saw Point Break, I thought it was a really great movie. To pay homage to those sort of things, and to Wicker Man, and to Straw Dogs, and to all those movies, is different to just simply doing what we were talking about before with movies like, I presume, epic movies like this. I think it's a movie made by people that genuinely love their films. I do think that the stuff between Simon and Nick is just laugh out loud funny, and I can forgive you for the 10 minutes too baggy at the end, because hey, the fact of the matter is...
That's the director's fault.
Well, of course it's the director's fault.
I feel like I'm the one who's done wrong here.
No, but let me absolutely clarify that. I don't think for 1 minute that Simon would be funny without you telling him how to be funny. I think the
That's
direction,
quite insulting.
the direction. No, it's not. It's the direction of comedy is the thing that always gets overlooked. People think that you direct comedy by putting a camera in front of 2 funny people and letting them do the stuff. Comedy direction is the hardest thing to do.
It's true.
It is the hardest thing to do. Comedy timing, comedy editing is the hardest thing to do. And this is why I'm so strict on the 5 laugh rule. Simply, if you don't laugh in a comedy, it's not funny. And I looked at my watch and we were 12 minutes in and I'd done me 5 laughs, and that's it, I'm with it now. And after that, I'm home and dry. And I had 90 minutes of a really, really good time.
Can you sort of breathe happy now?
No, that's good. And it's funny, like saying about the ending, because in a way, sort of like
it's on purpose.
Yeah, the idea with the film is it starts to mutate into something else, and almost and
Tony Scott does grab hold of the controls.
I know, and I sort of I enjoyed doing a Stars in Their Eyes, Tony Scott. It was a lot of fun, and also the idea with the endings is like there's you could count sort of so many kind of action films where you think, yeah, Speed was really good. Didn't need the bit on the train at the end.
Exactly.
And so there was an element of that being a joke of like these Chinese box, endless kind of like denouements. You know what? And I also like to say for the record,
go on.
If we could have afforded to blow up a helicopter, I would have.
Regular listeners will know the answer to this question. Who is the train driver in Speed?
In Speed?
In
train
Speed.
driver in Speed?
Yeah.
What?
The tube driver.
What?
No,
Are you
you're
not
thinking
talking
of
Mission Impossible, David Schneider?
David Schneider.
Oh, I don't know.
Who's the train driver in Speed?
Yes.
What, this Dennis Hopper sequence in the end?
Yes.
In the subway?
Oh, I don't know.
It's Richard Schiff who plays Toby Ziegler in West Wing,
No,
because he
that's
was here on
another thing.
Tuesday, and a number of people were mentioning his other roles, and then there.
I have to say, actually,
Didn't make it onto any of his biogs, that one.
in response to Mark's comment about comedy directing, I have to agree, and I think Jessica and myself get a lot of props for Spaced, and I think we always try and say that Edgar was the third writer on that series, because it was a lot to do with his visual style that made that show very funny, and I think he's taken that into...
It has been Wittertainment at its most
Wittertaining.
the movie of the week.
Well, Hot Fuzz, I mean, like I said, it's really funny. It's really funny.
I love you, Mark.